Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Gershwin and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Imperial Worlds as we get into the Spacemarine chapter Homeworlds. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and don't forget to hit the little bell notification icon to stay updated. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Spacemarine chapter Homeworlds. A Spacemarine chapter Homeworld, sometimes referred to in Imperial records as the main chapter planet, is an Imperial classification for a world that serves as the base of operation for a Spacemarine chapter's fortress monastery. Most often, but not always, these chapter Homeworlds are recruitment worlds for the Astarte chapter. Not all Astarte chapter Homeworlds are planets, but rather orbiting voidcraft, space stations, desert moons, or asteroids. In every case, however, the chapter Homeworld is under the complete and total control of the chapter, thus making the chapter master the de facto planetary governor and the imperial commander of the entire world. While most chapters take little part in the political and economic affairs of the population of their homeworld, some involve themselves in varying degrees. These arrangements can be summarized as a direct rule, stewardship, or a distant rule. A direct rule is when the chapter rules over its homeworld and people directly, and its leaders are regarded by them as figures of ultimate authority. It is comparatively rare for a chapter to involve itself in a particular consideration of administering its homeworld, and even when it does so, the more prosaic details are often left to chapter serfs or leaders chosen by various means from the population. The advantage of direct rule is that the chapter can enforce every element of its will upon its subjects, shaping their development to better produce promising aspirants. In times of outright war, the Space Marines may take direct control of the world's military, sometimes even dispatching its officers to serve as generals amongst the lesser armies. When a Space Marine chapter homeworld is ruled over in a stewardship, the chapter gives over the administration of its subjects to a ruling class drawn from the population, issuing broad directives but maintaining their distance. The Space Marines are regarded as figureheads and may even attend traditional events and services, such as the Feast of the Emperor's Ascension or its local equivalent. Generally, however, the people hold the Space Marines in awe, even if they rarely see them, and every family aspires to have one of its sons being selected to serve in their ranks. Should the homeworld face invasion, the Space Marines may revert to direct rule for the duration of the emergency, or at least have the power to issue grand strategy to the world's indigenous armies. The most common type of relationship a chapter has with its homeworld is that of a distant rule. In practice, they take no hand in the affairs of their subjects. If the population is even aware of the existence of the Space Marines, they are distant, semi-mythological figures, whose appearance is a sign of great things. In the event of an enemy threatening the world, the Space Marines are likely to assume the burden of its defense, but are less likely to interact with the population at all. The location of the chapter's fortress monastery dictates on what type of relationship will be developed with their homeworld. For instance, if it's a fleet-based chapter, and they make their homes on vast space-going vessels, often unique artifacts predating the age of the Imperium, or in the cases of the Dark Angel's Fortress Monastery, the Rock, it's a vast chunk of planetary debris hollowed out and fitted with very large warp drives. Many of these chapters travel the galaxy in vast circuits, taking Terran centuries to pass through a single segmentum, while others limit their movement to ancient, hereditary spheres of influence and areas of responsibility. Fleet-based chapters recruit from a wide range of planets. Sometimes they hold the exclusive rights to recruit at a particular world, although the population of these worlds may know nothing of such an arrangement. Others make points of seeking out new societies to recruit from, ever vigilant of a promising recruitment world. Should an exceptional source be discovered, some chapters establish small facilities in order to watch over the population and test the aspirants. Upon discovering of a singular, valuable recruiting source, some fleet-based chapters may even abandon their nomadic existence, claiming the world and establishing a fortress monastery on the planet. Because they tend to recruit from a variety of sources, fleet-based chapters are more unlikely than any other chapter to be a direct rule or stewardship over their planet. The most common type of Space Marine chapter Homeworld is a feral world. These are planets colonized eons ago, long before the age of the Imperium, and then they subsequently regress to a barbaric state due to extended periods of isolation or other less predictable factors. In a galaxy-spanning empire that harnesses the power of technology, the spear and the axe remain perhaps the most common weapon, for the masses of worlds fall into this category, perhaps even more than any other type. With resources focused on key strategic worlds, there is no reason to spare the effort to civilize these natives on these numerous feral worlds. In many cases, doing so would deprive the Imperium of a truly invaluable asset, for feral worlders are by definition amongst the toughest and most accomplished it is to possible recruits. As a result, many Space Marine chapters make their homes on such worlds, close to the source of their recruits. A Space Marine chapter based on a feral world is likely to maintain a distance from its populace, with its fortress monastery located in a distant and inaccessible island or high atop a mountain range. In most cases, the savagery of the tribes from which the chapter recruits is tempered by the training, indoctrination, and psycho-conditioning imposed to its neophytes, but in some cases, the chapter is very much shaped by the character of the population, inheriting not only its warlike qualities, but many of its unique cultural mores. Similar to feral worlds, and just as popular, are death worlds. These are planets so dangerous to life that unless they harbor some essential resource, mankind would have no reason to set foot on these planets. Though no single terrain type defines this class of world, many are swathed in jungles populated by carnivorous plants as dangerous as any predator beast, where even the air itself is poison. Most death worlds are impossible to settle, for every single living thing in them appears motivated to expel any intruders, as if ruled over by an overarching and utterly malicious intelligence. A tiny proportion have been settled, but life there is a daily, even hourly struggle for survival, where one false step spells death at the slavering maul of some hideous death world predator. The sort of cultures that spawn people able to reach maturity in such a place are amongst the most valuable recruiting grounds for the Space Marines, for the mere fact of surviving to adolescence marks an aspirant as amongst the toughest humanity is capable of producing. Most chapters that call a death world their home are likely to be experts in fighting in a particular type of terrain. To do so, it is not simply a matter of making the best use of the environment, but of surviving the very worst that the environment can throw at the battle brothers, and even turning it against the foe. In occupying a death world, a chapter will be forced to defend itself constantly against the world itself, a fact that tests the battle brothers continuously, even when they are not fighting the enemies of the Imperium. While some locate their fortress monasteries in orbit, others prefer to reside amidst the very worst of the death world's environment, honing their skills even beyond those of the already legendary abilities of the Adeptus Astartes. A less common type of Space Marine chapter homeworld is a feudal world. These are the planets where the population has either risen above the crude tribal structures of a feral world, or regressed from a more advanced level. In either case, it is likely to be external causes that have brought such a change about, whether deliberate or not. The population of a feudal world is organized into relatively stable nation-states, with complex webs of vassal obligations linking extended groupings. Technologically, most of the inhabitants are ignorant of advanced machinery, but may utilize basic firearms manufactured locally. In all likelihood, all but the world's ruling classes are aware of the Imperium at large. The majority of the population still holds ancient superstitions and are but one step away from barbarous savagery. Many of these worlds are ruled over with an iron fist by a warrior aristocracy that engages in ceaseless and brutal wars, often against its own people. Among such classes, the warrior code is all, and even the smallest slight against a warrior's honor is answered with a challenge, often to the death. Space Marine chapters utilizing feudal worlds as their base may keep their distance from the populace, as they do on feral worlds, or they may establish themselves as distant overlords, high kings, or secret warrior orders. A chapter monastery on such a world is likely to be regarded by the populace as the most impenetrable keep, where great heroes reside, and the subject of vast bodies of myth and legends. The least common type of Space Marine chapter homeworld is categorized as a civilized world. Civilized worlds describe a wide range of societies and technological levels, but in general, such worlds will be a functioning part of a larger imperial sector, with trade links to nearby worlds. Contact with other planets and people is relatively common, at least amongst the upper echelons of society, and the people see themselves as subjects of the greater Imperium. The populations of such worlds enjoy a reasonable standard of living, but that very fact makes them less suitable as a recruitment source for the Adeptus Astartes than many other types. In a society where an infant is more or less guaranteed to reach maturity without becoming the prey to some ravenous predator beast or being enslaved by a rival tribe, the survival instinct is comparatively low and unlikely to produce suitable raw materials for the Space Marines. Only the most exceptional of the civilized worlds ever provide recruits for the Adeptus Astartes, and these are generally societies with a strong warrior code imbued by hundreds of generations of service, perhaps rigorously enforced by a ruling military elite. The Ultramarines' realm of Ultramar is such a region of the galaxy, where despite a reasonable standard of living, every family dreams of having a son accepted into the ranks of the Ultramarines, and ensures that they are being trained to the utmost degree as soon as they are able to walk. It is only those civilized worlds that maintain the most rigorous military traditions that are likely to appeal to the Adeptus Astartes as a source of aspirants. On some of these worlds, the Space Marine chapter forms the very highest tier of the stratified and regimental society, entirely focused on martial pursuits, where all aspire to the example set by the Adeptus Astartes. In most cases, a chapter calling such a planet a homeworld maintains a distance from its subjects, while in some, the chapter's Astartes and civilian staff are fully integrated into the wider system of traditions, obligations, and services. And finally, there are plenty of chapters that prefer to maintain their secrecy and isolate themselves from nearby populations. Fortunately, there is no shortage of barren or otherwise uninhabited worlds for such chapters to utilize as bases of operation. The fact that even an apparently desolate, airless rock might harbor one of the greatest military forces in humanity's arsenal is deterrent enough for many would-be invaders. And who knows how many outcasts have stumbled across a fully operational fortress monastery while exploring some isolated world, and never lived long enough to tell the tale. Chapters utilizing isolated, unpopulated planets as their homeworlds have to look further for sources of recruitment, but they are rarely far from worlds where they are entitled to recruit upon. Such chapters may recruit from a variety of nearby planets, drawing their recruits from feral world tribes, hive world gangs, and many other sources. Mixing several sources in a single intake of neophytes provides its own set of challenges, but ultimately produces a wide range of skills and qualities that serve the chapter well wherever it serves. While a Space Marine chapter's homeworld is their charge, several Space Marine chapters guilty of crimes against the Emperor but still deemed reliable by the Inquisition and the High Lords of Terra, such as the Mantis Warriors and Executioners, have been forced to forfeit their homeworlds, which requires them to become fleet-based chapters. And those were 40 facts on the Space Marine chapter Homeworld. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this, and it's because of them that we can do our subscriber appreciation giveaways. Speaking about our subscriber appreciation giveaways, we're going to continue the giveaways this week with another prize. This time it's a Space Marine prize. It is the No Fear box set. We've given this box set away before in the past. It's an awesome box set, and we managed to get another one before the prices went up and before they changed to the new Primaris starter sets or battle forces. I can't remember what they're called, but we are giving away this No Fear box set. All you have to do in order to win is, number one, be a subscriber, because this is a subscriber appreciation giveaway. Number two, like this video, so hit the thumbs up button. 3, share this with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media you guys use. And then lastly, and most importantly, comment down in the comment section below. You can comment whatever you want, however many times you want. Just be careful, because if you comment too many times, YouTube will mark you down as spam, and it will count for nothing. As I said in the past, if you come back every day, comment like 3-4 times a day, you'll be fine. Just don't spam. Very important that you keep your YouTube channel set to public, because if it is on private, we won't know that you are a subscriber. We won't know that you liked this video and shared it, so we won't be able to pick you. But the winner will be picked from the comment section below. Thank you guys for being subscribers. Thank you for everything that you do and just listening to us read you the lore. You guys are awesome, and I'll talk to you guys in a week. The winner will be announced a week from today, which would probably be a Tuesday or a Wednesday. But yeah, thanks for everything, guys, and I'll talk to you in the comment section. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, I used to put my